Welcome to Stoic Mindset Daily. In today's story, I want you to step with me into the quiet kind of morning that starts like any other. The sort of day where you don't expect the ground beneath your feet to shift forever. My name is Danny. I'm 35, and for most people around here, I'm the guy you call when your laptop screen goes black or when your hard drive suddenly won't boot. Connecticut isn't exactly the place where dramatic things happen every day. At least not in our sleepy town where gossip spreads faster than the morning news. But real scandals? They usually belong on television, not next door. Until, of course, I stumbled onto mine. It was an ordinary Tuesday morning. Nothing special about it, except that when I reached for my wallet in Lisa's purse, my wife of 8 years didn't find what I was looking for. Instead, my fingers brushed against something cold, slick, and unfamiliar. When I pulled it out, I froze. In my hand was a sleek bottle of personal lubricant. Not the kind of purchase Lisa and I ever made together. And tucked right beside it, a box of expensive protections. The brand she always claimed she couldn't use because they supposedly gave her a rash. My stomach turned in a way that words barely capture. I felt like someone had punched me without warning. Air sucked out of my lungs, leaving behind a kind of hollow coldness that was heavier than anger. Heavier than fear. Most men in my position would have confronted her right then and there, slammed the evidence down on the table, demanded answers, shouted, maybe even begged. But I'm not most men. I've always been the methodical type. The guy who reads the entire instruction manual before assembling a coffee maker. The kind of person who backs up his hard drive twice just in case. Explosions don't suit me. Precision does. And in that moment, my brain didn't scream, it clicked into gear. Lisa was ambitious, always had been. She worked as an executive assistant at Morrison & Associates, a high-end law firm where suits cost more than I made in a week and reputations mattered more than anything. She loved that world of high heels clicking across marble floors, the whispers of ambition rising in conference rooms. The chance to climb higher, rung by rung, on a ladder built from prestige. And I'd always admired her drive. But standing in the kitchen with that bottle in my hand, admiration soured into something else. A plan. That evening, while Lisa showered, steam rolling out from under the bathroom door, I set to work with a calmness that almost startled me. I unscrewed the cap of the lubricant with the careful hands of a surgeon. Half of it went down the drain. In its place, I poured in a concoction I'd kept since my college days, a leftover from harmless pranks. A brilliant green dye, the kind you'd see turning fountains into emerald rivers on St. Patrick's Day, mixed with a strong irritant that made even the bravest man's eyes water. A secret recipe for disaster. When the bottle was sealed again, it looked untouched. Untouched, but cursed. Then I turned my attention to the box of protections. With the patience of a craftsman, I pierced each one with a needle, so fine the holes were invisible to the eye, but destructive enough to guarantee unreliability. As I worked, I whispered to myself, not with rage, but with calculation, maximum effect, maximum exposure. When Lisa stepped out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, cheeks flushed from the heat, she looked like the same woman I'd kissed goodnight 1,000 times. Her smile was casual. "How was your day, honey?" she asked, her tone light as if the universe hadn't just shifted beneath our roof. "Same routine," I answered, watching her carefully, looking for cracks, signs, anything. She gave me none. Over dinner, she slipped easily into conversation, her fork twirling pasta as she mentioned working late again. Something about a major case, her boss demanding long hours, a team retreat at the Hampton Suites in Hartford. My ears perked. Hampton Suites. I knew the place, notorious among locals for renting rooms by the hour if you knew the right words. She described it like it was all business, a team locked in conference rooms under harsh lighting. But when she spoke Patterson's name, Richard Patterson, her senior partner, something dark coiled in my gut. Patterson, divorced, silver hair, Porsche driver. The kind of man who believed his law degree was a golden ticket to anyone's wife. I twirled spaghetti around my fork and smiled as though I believed her. But my brain was already sketching blueprints for what came next. That night, When Lisa drifted to sleep beside me, I got up quietly and slid a small GPS tracker beneath her car seat. Technology can be cruel and beautiful in the right hands. 3 days later, when my phone buzzed with a location alert, her car was parked at the Hampton Suites at 3 in the afternoon. Her text to me claimed she was downtown in a meeting. I drove there, parked behind a landscaping truck, and waited. 20 minutes later, my patience was rewarded. Lisa stepped out of room 237, smoothing the black dress I'd given her for our anniversary. Behind her followed Patterson, smug as ever, adjusting his tie with the self-satisfaction of a man who thought he owned the world. When they kissed her lips, staining his collar with bright lipstick, the camera on my phone caught it all. The betrayal wasn't whispers now. It was captured in high definition with timestamps and GPS coordinates. My marriage wasn't a partnership anymore. It was evidence, but I didn't want just pictures. I wanted the full show. So I called in sick the following week and turned myself into a silent audience. I watched their routine unfold like clockwork. Every Tuesday, every Thursday, Lisa's text about overtime was followed by a tryst at the Hampton Suites. Once I even booked the room beneath theirs. The walls in those suites were thinner than they looked. From my bed, I could hear their voices drifting down Patterson's smug. Lisa's laugh like knives against glass, her husband's clueless. Patterson chuckled. He probably thinks romance is fixing her laptop. Lisa laughed, cruel and sharp. Danny's sweet, but predictable. So boring. Do you know what he did last month for excitement? He downloaded a new password manager. Their laughter carried down to me. Each word another nail in the coffin of who I thought I was to her. They weren't just betraying me physically, they were dismantling me piece by piece, turning me into the punchline of their private jokes. And in that moment, listening, I stopped being the man who'd quietly fixed laptops while his wife lied. I became something else, patient, precise, and ready. From then on, every step of my plan clicked into place like clockwork. Patterson's shiny Porsche stayed untouched, but his life, that I could redesign. Lisa came home one evening with stomach cramps, so fierce she couldn't stay out of the bathroom. She blamed bad lunch. I offered her ginger ale with the tenderness of a devoted husband. Meanwhile, word spread through town that Patterson had collapsed during a lunch at his country club. Doubled over, sweating, humiliated in front of his peers. Food poisoning, they whispered. I knew better. That was just phase 1. Phase 2 came when Lisa arrived home pale and shaking, confessing there had been some accident at the hotel. She stammered about a green substance covering them both, burning their skin, refusing to wash off. A chemical reaction, she said. Maybe sabotage. Patterson wanted to call police, maybe hire investigators. I kept my expression even, nodding, offering sympathy. Inside, though, satisfaction bloomed like fire. The die had done its work. Social media caught it next. Green lovers caught in chemical romance trended online. Their humiliation spreading faster than gossip in our small town. Lisa, desperate and stained, tried hiding at home. Her skin tinted a glowing green that no amount of makeup could disguise. Her eyes burned from irritants, her pride shredded by whispers she couldn't control. Patterson, furious and flailing, called me, accusing me of sabotage, demanding answers. I played dumb.com as Stillwater, reminding him that any official complaint would mean explaining what business he had sharing a hotel room with my wife in the first place. It was checkmate, and he knew it. But this wasn't just about Patterson. This was about Lisa, the woman who had looked me in the eye every morning, who had built a parallel life while I backed up her laptop, cooked her dinners, paid her bills. When she finally admitted it, tears carving green streaks across her cheeks, she begged for understanding. She told me it wasn't about love. It was about excitement, that she felt neglected. But I didn't hear remorse. I heard excuses. I heard a woman who wasn't sorry for what she'd done, but for being caught. The truth came out piece by piece, like shards of glass cutting deeper with each confession. 6 months of lies. It had started at the firm's Christmas party, she said, when Patterson, recently divorced, offered her attention I apparently never did. From coffee dates to hotel rooms, she slipped further away while convincing herself I was too boring to notice. She thought I'd never find out. She thought I was predictable, but she underestimated the man who reads manuals cover to cover. She underestimated the power of patience. The dominoes fell quickly after that. Patterson tried bribes $20,000 for my silence. I countered with resignation, a quiet exit, a promise never to darken my wife's life again. He sputtered threats about extortion, but I knew the law better than he imagined. Connecticut is a one-party consent state for recordings, and I had more than enough evidence. Within weeks, he resigned from the firm, citing health issues, his career in flames, his reputation shredded. Lisa, left behind, spiraled. Her friends asked questions she couldn't answer. Her coworkers whispered. Her family distanced themselves. She even tried to play the ultimate card, claiming she might be pregnant. But dates and calendars don't lie. When I pressed, the truth cracked open. There was no baby, just another desperate attempt to bind me to her. Even in ruin, she chose lies over honesty. In the end, divorce was the only outcome. Papers were signed. She left with debts and shame. I kept the house, the savings, my peace. Patterson fled the state, chasing scraps of legal work in Florida. Lisa found herself in a call center. Her life shrunk to fluorescent lights and thin-walled apartments. And me. I walked away free. Months later, sitting in Murphy's Tavern with my buddy Mike, I sipped a beer and listened to him gossip about what had become of the two people who thought they'd outsmarted me. Patterson reduced to chasing ambulances, Lisa trapped in mediocrity. Their laughter, the laughter I once heard through thin hotel walls, was long gone. In its place, I had silence. Sweet, healing silence. That night, my phone buzzed with a text from Lisa. A long message about regret, about realizing too late what she'd thrown away. She admitted she knew I'd never forgive her, that she didn't deserve it, that she hoped someday I'd find someone who valued me the way she should have. I read it, let the words sit on my screen for a moment, and then I deleted it. No response. Because the truth is, some men choose dramatic scenes, screaming matches, broken dishes, keyed cars. Some men hire investigators or chase revenge through public humiliation. I chose something quieter, sharper, and far more effective. A little chemistry, a lot of patience, and the calm belief that people like Lisa and Patterson will always destroy themselves when handed the right tools. Every time someone in town sees a splash of bright green food coloring, a shirt, a St. Patrick's Day decoration, they remember the story. They chuckle about the lovers turned into walking neon disasters. Lisa and Patterson became a cautionary tale, their humiliation immortalized in whispers and inside jokes. As for me, I have my home, my reputation, my quiet peace. Not everyone gets to turn betrayal into legend, but I did. Not everyone gets to walk away from the ashes of their marriage with dignity and tact, but I did. And if you ask me whether I regret it, whether I think I went too far, I'll tell you the truth. I Haven Tea lost a single night's sleep. Because in the end, what I delivered wasn't cruelty. It was balance, actions and consequences, cause and effect. They wanted excitement, adventure, fire. I gave it to them. Only mine came tinted brilliant green. And let me tell you, brilliant green was the perfect choice.